Hey everybody, what's up? What's good? What's happening? I have to do that real quick. Welcome to my live stream. This is the King and Me show. I'm one half of the Steam King.
Hey y'all, it's me, Michelle. How y'all doing?
We here at the King and Me show attempt to offer a real outlook on a healthy relationship, real being relatable,
Entertaining,
accountable,
and loving.
and if you see us live on a Tuesday,
What?
no, you are not tripping.
Or you could be.
Or you could be. Our normal show is live on Mondays at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time Zone. But today's episode and live stream is a little bit different. Backstage, who y'all might have saw for a second before I booted her off real quick to get this thing properly set up here, we have a guest that I discovered on the Beyond the Monsters podcast. It's a YouTube channel, but I saw the Instagram clip where this person shared one particular story and I was instantly hooked. So I said, let me go see this person's story and watch and listen to the entire event. And from beginning to end, my mouth was like this. I had a whole lot of questions like how and why. And this person was vulnerable enough to share those things that you could go through in a bad relationship, that when it occurs and it's happening and you are living in it, sometimes you might wonder, how did I get here and how do I get myself out? So the person that we have backstage is a lovely person by the name of Indee. I asked Indee if she'd be interested in coming on and having a chat, sharing her story and offering up some insight based on her story. And she agreed to and said yes. So for that, I am thankful for her. If you have any questions as we're going through this live stream, please be respectful and put it down in the comment section. You never know what insight to your question that she may offer that could help you. So without further ado, let's bring her up, Miss Indee, for real this time.
Welcome.
Welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for being here. So let's get right into it. Your story on Beyond the Monsters. Was that your first time sharing your story and what had occurred in your life on that platform? And if so, why did you agree to do it?
It was my first time sharing the full story to anybody. I had, like, my own family did not know how bad it had been. I shared it that way because I was so private when it was happening. And frankly, I was pissed off. Like, how dare you do this to me? And you get to just walk away and live your life without being held accountable. You know, like I'm the one who's left to bear these scars now. And I figured I suffered all of this in silence. I'm going to heal as loud as possible.
Oh, that's so good. Okay, hold on. I'm like over here getting pen and because I was like, no, I know she's gonna say something. Wait, hold on.
Now, the title of the episode that you were on did not give me an Indie from the clip. I wouldn't have expected the invitation to be what it was. So it was labeled custody battle with a sexual predator and a pattern of coercive control. What is coercive control?
It's basically just training you in order to do what they want. If you bring up your feelings and you say, like, something bothers me, it's a fight. So in order not to have the fight, you stop bringing up your feelings. It's a mind. I want to say the F word, but like it's one of those, just like, you know, just basically it's a training you to act the way that they want you to act.
Okay. Now, throughout your episode on Beyond the Monsters, there was the word narcissism or narcissist that was said numerous of times. Now, I'm somebody that I've heard the word, but I've never truly understood what the word is. So can you explain what narcissism is?
Well, narcissism really is a personality disorder of having extremely low self esteem. At your core, you have low self esteem. And instead of dealing with that, you combat that by um, making it seem like you're. I can just speak for my ex. Like he acted like he was the big man on campus. Um, if you didn't agree with him, you were wrong. There was never any empathy. That's like the biggest telltale of a narcissist is that there is no empathy at all. Um, you tell them, hey, my one of the stories I did not get to tell on Beyond the Monsters was that early in our relationship, my aunt had died. And this was an aunt who had actually like helped raise me. And he had called me after I got back from the funeral. And I'm sad. Of course, I'm not sounding with like myself. I'm still with my family. Um,
Mm-hmm.
he hangs up on me when I answer the phone. And I thought maybe we got disconnected. So I called back and I'm like, hey, did the phone get disconnected? And he was like, no, I hung up on you. And I'm like, why would you do that? And he's like, because you don't sound like yourself. And I was like, I just buried my aunt.
Wow.
And then it was a flip of a switch. It was like, oh, I'm so sorry. I just, I thought maybe you were mad at me and I just didn't understand. And so I just, didn't want to. So yeah.
Man, mind games. All right, then let's go back to the beginning. How did you and this particular person end up meeting?
We had actually met online. Um, he was on the East Coast. I was on the West Coast. I do have a family member out here. So we just really hit it off. He seemed super sweet. Um, and we just, start talking every day. And I had a chance to come out here and visit. And so I did. And like, we just kept going back and forth and started this relationship.
Now, if you met online, I'm gonna just ask a straight up question. Or was it one of those, I know I'm going to visit my family member at this location, so let me see what the mark is looking like out here? Okay, that's fair. I've done that.
Hmm. Yeah.
I've done that. So how then, after meeting this person, what had you hooked? I mean, was he like a 6'5" chiseled Adonis that you like, ooh, I got to have that man? Like, how did y'all get
Sorry.
hooked together?
He was actually very, very just sweet, almost dorky, so unassuming. He loved wrestling and he loved football and Marvel comics. And like, it was just like, yeah, he was just so like, it was almost like a nerd. And I fashioned myself to be a nerd. So it was like, oh, okay. Like he was a sweetheart.
Okay. So we have a great question, comment that came in. So Time is one of our regular visitors. And I know he's probably like, wait a minute, it's today Monday, today's Tuesday, what's going on? But yes, Time, hey, thank you for popping in the building.
Salute.
We do have a guest with us, and she is sharing her personal story. And the comment that we have in here is, King, we men are labeled as narcissists, so we are inconsiderate. Do we not love as men? Wow. And I think it's part question, part comment. And so, Time, I want you to correct me if I'm wrong. So she's sharing what happened to her. And I know that for some people, narcissism is a clinical diagnosis that is given to you, but she's going based off of what she experienced from a previous relationship. So that's where her insight on the narcissism is coming from. I can't speak to whether there was a level of a clinical diagnosis that went in with it, but it's going off of Indee's experience. So that's where we are coming from today. And I know that sometimes men will get labeled with that, but sometimes the diagnosis, even though not clinical, can be true. And so I am going to, I'm okay to jump in with this question, right?
Yeah.
I'm going to jump in with this. This is something that, I learned off stage, but would like to share here. So you met your ex through online dating. He came off as nerdy, and when you said Marvel, I had to like clutch my pearls because
I saw.
I'm a Marvel geek. And when I met King for the first time, he had on a Marvel shirt, and that's what sold him for me, because I always told him, I was like, look, if you had come in DC, we wouldn't be here right now. Like we would not have worked, but you came in a Marvel shirt, and I love you for it. Like ever since that day. Was there ever a point when that situation happened with your aunt, where your aunt passed away, and that phone call, was there ever a moment where you were like, well, wait a minute, wait, why am I, like, you couldn't even be kind, empathetic as I'm going through this? Shoot, I'll take sympathetic at this moment. You can't be either one of those, so I don't even think that we should continue on. Like, did that ever cross your mind in the early parts of your relationship?
No, and one thing that I did not get to really dive into the podcast was that I am the oldest daughter. I have 5 sisters and 1 brother. Not only that, both of my parents were drug addicts for much of my childhood. I had a stepfather who was an alcoholic, and so I was never taught red flags. All flags were red
Okay.
to me. So stepping on my feelings, pushing my boundaries, I was used to that because I had been raised in a dysfunction like this. So I was measuring it against it's not as bad as that. I'm not, sticks and stones can break my bones, but words can never hurt me type of thing. You're not trying to bash me over the head with a, lamp or something, So, yeah, I didn't have a healthy set of boundaries to begin with. So a lot of that happened, or that was, I allowed to happen, was because I just didn't know.
You don't know what you don't know. Let me ask you this. Before, from age like, I think people date around 15, 16.
Yeah.
They're getting in relationships and things like that. You don't have to put your age out there like that. I'm not asking you that. But from 15 to roughly 25, did you have or see any examples around you of what a healthy relationship was? Were you in one yourself?
I was a 15-year-old with a 20-year-old boyfriend. I got pregnant at 17, had my daughter at 18, had a son at 21, and was with that man until I was almost 30.
And
So
in that relationship, how would you describe it?
when we finally broke up and went our separate ways, and I told our kids, I was like, me and your dad are breaking up, and they were like, we thought you guys were roommates. You guys were together and begin with, yeah. They thought we were just living together.
So King's question, your answer, sparks a question that I feel like every Black person gets asked at some point in their life. Did you have a relationship? And I swear that this has a point. Did you have a spiritual relationship? Were you going to church or anything like that? Because I remember telling my pastor that I didn't have any good influences of, healthy marriages around me, and outside of the church. And that's exactly what I said to him. I said, outside of the church. And his response was, why are you looking outside the church? Why not look inside of the church? So my question for you is, did you have like that church background? Were you ever taken to church? You weren't introduced to? Okay.
My great grandmother, my first 4.5 years, I was raised by both of my great grandmothers off and on. I was split up between them. And so one of them was very spiritual, always in the church every other day. But after I went back with my mom full time, we really didn't go much. Yeah.
What about outside of the man that fathered your kid? being that that difference was 15 to 20-year-old, what other men were around in your life that you saw, and how were they around you and other women that you knew?
My dad is very much in my life. But as I said at the time, he was also on drugs and he was fighting his own demons. But um, when he was clear headed, he did the best that he could do. Um, my stepfather, like I said, he went to work Monday through Friday. And as soon as, he clocked out on Friday, it was beers and then him and my mom fighting. And so, um, I had cousins, but they were not too much older than me. So it wasn't really like a really good man that I was always around because for the most part, I was with my mom and her husband.
So sad. It's so sad for many reasons. One, that you endured it, that anyone had to endure it. That's heartbreaking to hear. And then I also hear, and it's like those prime years when a young lady needs to have a strong paternal male figure in her life just to help her. We always say, oh, a woman can raise a daughter. Well, it takes two. Like, there's a reason why it's supposed to be two, because there are some things that we do need to be able to glean from, a strong male figure in our life. And if we don't have that, we miss a lot of, a
Mhm.
lot of those cues, a lot of those things that we need to be good humans and, make right choices and develop our picker.
You know what, Michelle? Same question for you. After the age of 15, outside of the church, what positive male role model did you have when it comes to relationships that you could look at and go, that's a healthy man in a healthy relationship right there?
Absolutely none. Outside of the church, so specifically not including anyone that I had met in any type of church capacity, I had no one. I had no one. My uncle, my mom has she had five brothers, but she had four that were in America, one that was deported back to Jamaica, and she had two that were married, an older one that was married and a younger one that was married. The younger one that was married, I didn't bang with him or his wife at the time because of some comments that they had made to me about my weight as a 10-year-old. And my family, my mom, my sister didn't respond well. So I had cut ties with them.
Mhm.
And then the older one, he was married, but there were some issues with some stuff with my sisters, so I didn't look at his marriage as an example of anything because of him. Like, anything that you're a part of is not a good example of anything that I should follow. The way that you parent, the way that you are to your wife, was like none of that. Because of who I know you to be as a person, nothing you do will ever be a good example of something that I should follow. So yes, he has been married for an extremely long time. He's been married, they should be coming up on 36 years this year.
Hmm.
Yeah, you've been married for a really, really long time to the same woman, but there's nothing about your relationship that I would consider healthy and as a form of a role model for me.
All
Mhm.
right, Indee, you've gotten from 15 to 30. You got out of that situationship, relationship, however you call it.
Mhm.
Um, After that, were you looking at all for anything like long term? Were you just, you know what, I'm gonna have fun and play the field? Tell us a little bit more about, in your mind, like what were you doing after that relationship with your kid's father ended?
I had actually moved in with my best friend. Me and my best friend were living together. We were raising our kids together. So we were having a good time. Like,
Nice.
it, we called each other our wives. Like, I would go and pick up wine after work, or she would get wine after work, and the kids, it was wonderful. Like, for 2 years, we just had a really great system going on, and um, I was having fun. I really wasn't looking for anybody. I was living my life. I had actually, since I was with my best friend, we had both loved films. I write screenplays, and we were trying to make, we were like, maybe we can do something and make something happen and start our own production company. So yeah, I was chilling. I was having a good time.
All right. So then let me ask you, how then do you go? I'm on the West Coast. I know I'm coming out to the East Coast to visit someone who I know out here. I meet this man and you get into a relationship with this person, so much so that you make the move from the West Coast to the East Coast. That's no small feat, Indee. How does that happen?
Well, I had already wanted to leave the West Coast. I wanted to be away from my family because I was still always getting pulled back into mess. So the desire to leave had been there for a while.
Okay.
And again, like I said, he was nerdy. Like I never have fallen for the like smooth talker. Like I have all of those in my family. I know what you guys do behind closed doors. I don't want you, right? So yeah, he was nerdy. He was very almost shy, acted very almost childlike in a way. Like it was just like fun and lighthearted. So I was looking for somewhere to move anyways, and I was like, it's all right place. I'm not really tied to where I want to move to. I just know I want to be away. So moved to the East Coast.
Was he upfront about trying to make it work? Was that something that maybe you introduced? Was it mutual? Like, how did y'all get to where y'all looked at each other and go, you know what? Let's move in together.
Well, we had been dating that whole time, and again, he had loved bombed me while we were still on different coasts. So he would call every day, "Good morning, how are you doing?" Within like 2 to 3 weeks, it was, "I think I love you," and again, it felt weird to me, and I'm like, okay. I'm like, maybe I'm just wonderful enough to, for somebody to fall in love with me after a couple of weeks. And yeah, we just traveled back and forth for a year. And then I decided, okay, yeah, I'll move out here. And then, it took us like another year to actually move in together. And then, yeah.
What does love bombing look like on a day-to-day basis?
You are the center of their world. They are texting you all the time. It is good morning, good night. How are you doing? Did you eat? I love you. I miss you. I was thinking about you. Let me FaceTime you. Call me as soon as you get home. I want to make sure that you get there safe. And usually, I'll say this. I'm not calling him a narcissist because it just sounds like a good word. Keep in mind, I am something of a nerd. So I have watched the Red Table Talk with Dr. Romney and Jada Pickett Smith, and she was talking about narcissism. And then when she said they lack empathy, I'm looking over like, I think, and at this time we're married, I'm like, I think my husband might be a narcissist. It didn't really click until we had left and we were separated, but he fits the clinical definition. Like there's a quiz that you can give, and I've given it, to him, and he had like 25 out of 27.
Ooh,
points.
How are you able to give it to him without him knowing?
It's actually taken from your perspective of the person. Like, do they have delusions of power? Do they think that everybody's out to get them? Do they think everybody's envious of them? Like, there's like 9 different criteria in order to be a narcissist, and he scores high.
Indee, I have a question. So you said that, you would get these good morning, how are you? I hope your day is going well. Message me and let me know when you get home. And you said, and we have on the screen, love bombing. Where, when, where, what prompted the change from love to bombing, to the bombing part? So, like, how did that happen, or what happened?
Well, it's all one term. They're bombing you with love. They're
Okay.
it In a narcissistic relationship, in order to get somebody hooked, you have to present your best self. And a narcissist is only capable of keeping their mask up, is what it's called, for no more than 4 to 6 months. And so, all that time, you're just their focus. You're just, all their attention is on you, like all of it, all the time. Just, um, you know, buying gifts and constantly telling you that you're beautiful. And usually during this time, like from other people that I've talked to, and definitely within my case, there's a hook. There's always going to be a hook with the narcissist. And so it's usually something like, nobody understands me. Everybody's against me. None of my family loves me. For the person that I was dealing with, it was that I was raped at 6 by the neighbor's son. And, nobody knows this about me. I didn't tell anybody. You're the only woman that I've ever felt comfortable enough, to share this with. And, I'm so ashamed of it. And depending on how you, respond to that hook, that's how they know to kind of go forward. So for me, I'm coming from the background that I did. One of the things that I never want anybody who is in my orbit to ever feel like I don't love them. Like if I tell you that I love you and I'm there for you, I want you to always feel it. Like when you leave me, and I need you to know that, I mean what I say. And so, he told me this story, and even now I don't know if it's true, but and of course I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry, let me hold you, and he started crying, and please never leave me, everybody leaves me, you know and so yeah.
Now, I put up on the screen the empathy trap in your episode on Beyond the Monsters. The part that connected with me from the Instagram clip that I saw was the stolen valor aspect.
Yeah.
I'm a veteran myself, and I'm aware of the different benefits that veterans are eligible for. So
Hmm.
one of those benefits is that when you're looking to purchase a house, you have to produce what's called a certificate of eligibility, and you get that on va.gov. Now, if you have successfully served and served honorably, and you get that DD 214, going on va.gov to get your COE, the certificate of eligibility, it's a fairly easy thing to do.
Hmm.
In that episode on Beyond the Monsters, you talked about buying a house, and one of the avenues that y'all were looking at, or that you were looking at,
Hmm.
was to use his certificate of eligibility and use that, get that VA home loan, because you could go zero down, no PMI. It's a lot of great things that come
Hmm.
along with it. And you, at this point, thought that your husband was eligible to do that. How did you find out that his military service wasn't quite what he made it out to be?
So when we first started talking and dating, he told me that he had did 8 years in the military, that he did a tour in Iraq and a tour in Afghanistan. um, and again, I believe myself to be like a sweet person. And I remember I was working with a person before, because everybody in the episode kept asking, how did you not know? Did you not look? Um, I had just had a coworker who had actually came back from Afghanistan. And when he came back, I gave him a hug. I'm like, oh my gosh, it's so great to see you. I'm so glad you made it back. How was it? And he looked at me like, I don't want to talk about it. And I remember telling myself, I will never, like, oh my gosh, that was so stupid. I can't believe that was such a, like, of course it was war. He went to war.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
why would you ask somebody that? Like, right.
Mhm.
So I never pressed it. And again, my mom was in the Navy. So was my dad. And they've never made a big deal of it. I have tons of military, folks in my family, a cousin who's a Marine and Air Force. Like,
So she has the background. She knows what the lingo
Yeah.
could sound like. Okay, so it's not like you're coming somebody as a civilian with no military experience. You are the children of veterans. Okay.
yeah. And like growing up, like even if my dad does have like, or my mom, friends from the military, I don't know that that's where they met. They're just auntie and uncle, right? So I just had our baby, and I worked really hard to get our credit at like, the minimum level that we could have. Um, and I was looking at all, avenues, the VA loan, the FHA, and like all of it,
First time
right?
home buyers, all those
Everything.
things.
I was looking at everything. And so I was actually looking at everything else first. And then it was clicked to me like, oh, hey, look, we could use yours. Like, and so he actually let me go on the website and file for the, form to get it sent off and stuff. And so I did. And like I said, we were going to a date that day. And so I had the informed delivery, and I knew that it was coming. And so when we had met up, because I went right after work, I was like, oh, did you have it? Let me see it so I can, take a picture, send it to the realtor or whatever. And that's when he looked at me and he was like, don't be mad.
Nothing ever good comes after don't be mad.
Comes after those words.
And I'm like, and again, still not having like really gone and dealt with my own things. I knew that my boundaries were about to be, stepped on and at this point, but I just kind of pushed it down. I'm like, okay, what is it? And he's like, just promise me you won't be mad. And I'm like, okay, I promise. And he told me, I have it, but I didn't pass basic and I'm not eligible.
Mm.
And how long had you known him at that point when he made that confession?
About 5 years, 6 years we had been in a relationship. We were married. Yeah.
So I'm going to backtrack a little bit just to get timeline. So you met 1 year, you two dated cross country 1 year, dated while in the same, we'll say, time zone for a year. So we're at 2 years. And then you two moved in together around year 2 of you being with him?
Year 3.
Year 3. Okay. Year 3 of you being with him. When did you get married?
Shortly after that.
Okay.
Within that 3rd year. Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. And then baby comes along. Year 5, you're ready. Like, we're good. We're solid. Everything is fine. Let's go get this house. And that's when you find out 5 years after initially meeting him, initially hearing that he's done 8 years of service, you find out 5 years into the relationship that he never made it past the first 6 weeks.
And keep in mind, we live in the DMV, so it's heavily, saturated with military folks. And, he would see them and, tell them, yeah, I did 8 years in the military. And they would ask him, like...
Sorry. Sorry. It randomly happens sometimes.
Connected. That was funny.
But yeah, he would, sit there and talk to them and tell them, what job he did. And they would be like, oh, yeah. And like, I didn't know. Like, he played it off. Again, he is smart. And so he studied the lingo and, would still had the uniform and everything that,
6 weeks, and I'm staying 6 weeks, but obviously he didn't finish it. So how?
So he's using your empathy, and I'm going to give you my read on you, Indee. I've never done this before. Please don't take offense to what what?
I'm just preparing myself to like pull away depending on what you say. Go ahead.
So to the people that don't know, like we've had conversations with people in the past, but it's been people that we've known.
Yeah. Okay.
Indee's a total stranger to us. But in this first interactions that I've had with her, she seems like a very trusting person that you don't second guess what somebody shows or gives you, and that you give yourself to a person in hopes that they do right by you.
I would agree.
That's what I heard from the first relationship from when you were 15 and the other person was 20, and then you come out of that, you do your thing, you get into this relationship with someone that I hear you trusted him, whether he lied or not. He took what he heard, used it to get what he wanted, and then it all goes left once the veil that he has and all of the other things that we're going to talk about a little bit later on starts coming out. Would that be a fair assessment of how you would say that somebody else might characterize you?
It's fair.
What's not fair?
I'm not super trusting to begin with. Like I really don't like people. Like everything that everything that I've been through, like I really do have a wall up. So you have to show me something like really cool, or to make me think that, oh, maybe I'll take a chance on you. So once you can get in and show me to take a chance on you, then yes, then everything you said applies, but it's hard to get in.
Okay, now you've got to this point where around year 4 to 5, you find out about the stolen valor. That couldn't have been the first things that were like, ding, 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 hold on. What else occurred that looking back, you go, oh man, like now that I'm out the fog, this was bad, that was bad, I don't know how I didn't see this. Were there any other things that you can highlight, that you can share, or that you are willing to share, that speaks to the stuff that you better see now that you're out of the relationship?
Well, there was definitely him trying to isolate me. Anybody who was around me, like if he was talking or around my best friend, he would say, she's jealous of you. You know that, right? She wants to be you. And I'm like, what? No. Like, so, yeah, he was very, very much tried to isolate me. If we tried to make friends, as a couple, he would come back and be like, they don't really like you that much. Like, I don't know why. He's like, I think you're wonderful, but they think that you have a shopping addiction, or yeah. When I met his aunt, what did he say? He said that she said I looked like a rag doll. So yeah.
Like that's what he told you she said?
Mm-hmm.
That's what he told you that she said? Wow.
Because I'm American and he's Jamaican. And so, I was the bad American girl, and, they wanted him to stay away from me. And yeah.
So it kind of, with the whole Jamaican American thing, was it passed off to you more of a, even if it was backhanded, you should be lucky that I'm with you because my family doesn't think that you're good enough for me type thing?
He would say it in a way that made me think that he was on, my side. Like, he'd be like, but I love you, so I don't care what they think. Like, I'm there for you. So, yeah.
That's a classic one. I say that you said he's Jamaican. My family is Jamaican. So my mom, my siblings, so her four other kids, my uncles, all of them, they're all Jamaican. I was born here in America. I have an American father. And one of the things, in my case, it was actually true. And what I always heard growing up was that, my dad was this POS and like all this stuff, but I heard it from my siblings. My mom never badmouthed my dad. I heard it from my siblings, grew up as an adult, found out it really was true, but it was always passed off to me like Jamaicans were better than Americans, and don't date Americans and that type of stuff. I have an elder sister who that was always her thing. She was never going to date specifically a Black American because she, as a Jamaican, was better than Americans in general. But if she were going to date an American, it was not going to be a Black American. It was going to have to be someone who was of any other ethnicity other than a Black American. So I was always raised around that Jamaicans are better than Americans mentality. So that's why I was wondering, like, was it passed off to you as you're not good enough, but I love you anyway? Like you said, I love you anyway. So I'm going to try to make this work because I believe that you are, but all my family and them, none of them like you. Like none of them really rock with you. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. That's horrible. That's horrible. Like,
and
it
again,
really is.
I don't like people anyway, so it's like I don't want people in my house. Fine, great. Your family doesn't like me. They won't be expecting me to host Christmas or nothing. Like, fine, So yeah.
I've got one other thing for you before I then give a disclaimer, because the remaining part of what we're going to talk about could be difficult. So you can choose whatever you want to say. You can avoid anything. Just let me know as I ask it. But before we go to the hard stuff, you talked about walking on eggshells and gave an example of the tone that he would say that you would have when asking for a glass of water. Share that story here and explain what you mean by the tone.
So if he was getting up and going to the kitchen, I would just be like, hey, can you give me a glass of water, or bottle of water? And he would turn around to me and be like, are you going to ask? Are you going to say please? And I'm like, well, I did just ask. I'd say, can you give me a glass of water? You can say no and I'll go get it myself. Or, if I would wake up in the morning and be like, you left your socks in the bathroom again, or, something like, can you not do that? Be like, you've started the day off wrong. And you've set the tone for the day, and we're going to have a bad day all because of you. So like, that's also part of the, controlling part. And because now I'm not even going to bring up that you left your socks, or I'm not going to ask you to get me a glass of water, or, I'm not going to tell you how I feel because, you've started things off just horrible. Like every time I do, it's a problem. So I'm just going to be quiet.
Saying that, at what point did you realize that you were policing your own behavior, and like, how did it actually make you feel where you just then go, you know what, I'm just going to be quiet? Did you feel like you were doing that to keep the peace? Did you feel good about it? Or were you just trying to go along to get along?
I was trying to go along to get along. And also, again, I'm coming from this, very difficult childhood. And when I would speak up and say, hey, this is wrong and we shouldn't be doing this, I would get in trouble then too. Like I could remember, my mom and her husband getting into it and being told to call the police. And then when I did, I would get yelled at because now he's going to jail and we're going to lose our house because he can't go to work. So it was, something that I had always done. And I just knew that it started to get to a point where I just couldn't keep doing it. It was eating me away. Like every time he would come home, I would feel like there was an elephant on my chest. Like I constantly lived for a good 3 years, just always feeling like maybe I have a heart disease or something, because it was just always so restrictive on my chest. And I think that grew to a point, because I remember anytime we would get into an argument, he would back me into a corner. And again, he's a tall guy. He's 6'4", like 220. I'm 5'7", and he would back me into a corner, and he would grab up on my arm, and he would twist my arm and dig his nails in my skin. And so, and this is just from asking him not to, cuss me out, or, when he's confused. So, I mean, it would be little things that he would just do to, just made me feel like I just could not talk.
Do you have anything to ask before I make a pivot?
No, because I have, well, actually, no, I have 2 questions, but I'd rather save them for later. They're softer questions.
Okay. I'm going to give a bit of a recap here for the people that are watching and or listening, and start off by saying, first of all, Indee, thank you. Like, what you're sharing is your life. It is your real life. You lived it. You experienced it. And when I asked you to come on, I asked you to come on and share it, because there's something that I said earlier, when you're in the fog, it's hard for you to be able to see those things that are obvious red flags to some people or to others. But for you at the time, you had came from a background that you didn't know what those looked like, right? So you had to learn it and live it yourself. Now, the part that I said earlier where I gave the disclaimer that I'm going to ask some very uncomfortable questions, stem from around the title was Custody Battle with a Sexual Predator. And y'all heard me say that earlier. Was this sexual predator the same man that we are talking about, who is also the father of your kid?
Oh, God.
Yep.
Now, okay, so where we live, you have this thing called court case.
MD court case.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
MD court case. I can see the state. Where we live.
Yeah.
And with where you were with this person, did you do any background digging before y'all got serious at all?
So we live in Maryland too. And of course, I checked the National Registry because I have a daughter. And I checked Maryland case search. I was looking for DC, like Virginia. Like when he told me it was the DMV, I'm like, I'm checking everything, right?
Okay.
So yeah, I checked everything.
Okay. Now, I know the answer, but the people that are here don't. Why didn't he pop up?
His family never turned him in.
See, that's that Jamaican stuff that be pissing me off. That's that stuff that pisses me off all the time. Because, so this is, I want to say that this is 100% you sharing your story, but just to give you a little bit of background of why that comment, not what you said, but the truth behind what you said, why it pisses me off. My brother, I have a brother who was deported, and he was deported back to Jamaica years after this, but he did we're on YouTube, so I'll just say it because it was already said once. My brother did rape me when I was 6 years old, from ages 6 to 8. My brother raped me. He was a minor, so he went to juvenile detention for 3 years because he was 15 at the time. So he ended up going to juvenile detention for 3 years, and then he aged out of juvenile detention. When he aged out of juvenile detention, all of that stuff that happened with me, all the court cases, it's obviously not going to show up if you did an MD court case search for him because he was a minor. Right. He was a minor. Now, all the other idiotic stuff that he did 18 and older, including his deportation, if you were to look for him, it would show up, right? Because that was all over the age of 18. But the most egregious thing that he did does not show up because he was a minor when it occurred. So that's one way to work around it. And I say that because I am the only person in my family who reported someone raping or molesting her.
Meaning
My sisters and my mother never reported anything. So those Jamaican men who harmed my mother and my sisters, even if they had been in America, and I think for my sisters they were, it is not reported anywhere. There is absolutely no information on it because they told my sisters told my mom. My mom didn't initially believe it because of what had happened to her back in Jamaica where no one believed her. So that pisses me off when I hear you say that because I'm like, this is part of the problem. People hurt us. We say something, we do something, and then it never makes it to a court case. And in a state like Maryland, where you can go and find out the court history of any person, even down to a traffic ticket, if you decided to take it to court, it pisses me off that there's nothing for you to see because they decided, oh, I'm not going to report them. Like, this is family. We're just going to brush it under the rug. And I'm so tired of that island mentality, that Jamaican mentality, that foreigner mentality that says, just keep it between us. Like, what happens in families, we're not going to say anything.
It happens in, Black American culture too. And even to take it a step further, he was over the age of 18 when this happened. All of the victims were under the age of 18. One as young as 4. Okay.
I'm sorry, what?
One as young as 4.
Mm.
And like, I won't really go in too much into their story because most of them did not want to say anything. But to make it even worse, the aunt who had told me, like, when I met her, that he was such a good guy and I hope he's treating you well because he comes from a family of mostly women and we've taught him how to treat a woman. She is a mandated reporter. She's a doctor in DC.
I knew that, but hearing it again gives you that wow factor when you hear that. Wow.
That is horrible.
That is horrible. Indee was robbed out of making an informed decision about her life.
Yes.
Because of the secrets that people chose to keep. Mm-hmm. Now, Indee, I'm going to ask you this. Before that was revealed, what was the nature of you and this person's relationship? Was it already done? Were you trying to get out at that point? Or was that the point that you go, oh, I got to get out?
So before this was revealed, we have to kind of go back a few months. Okay. And we had gotten into an argument. And during this argument, he told me that he couldn't be sympathetic to the way that I was raised because he hadn't paid the internet bill. And it had got cut off while I was working from home. And so when I called him and said, hey, did you forget what's going on? He was like, oh, I'll pay it. And kind of, but he had an attitude with it and got mad at me and was like, bitch, I told you I'll pay it. And I hung up. And at this point, I'm like, really, I'm feeling so uncomfortable now because I've told you about this for years. Like, stop talking to me like this. Stop treating me like this. And so I texted him and I told him, like, hey, we're going to have to figure out how to separate now. Like, because part of me was so done with the relationship. I really was. Mm-hmm. But again, and this is another reason why I use the term a narcissistic abusive relationship, is because they are addictive. And everything, the love bombing is designed to basically mimic being on drugs. So you're addicted to this person. It's called having a trauma bond. And so even though I knew in my spirit that I wanted out of this relationship, I'm addicted. So to the highs and the lows, so the fights, and then, him being sweet. So when he told me that he could not be sympathetic to the way that I was raised, he actually packed up all this stuff and he left. And at first I was like, okay, good. And then I guess, chemically being almost addicted or being addicted to him in this relationship, I didn't have my fix because he's now gone out of the house. So now I'm like, what's going on? Or, we're married. We're supposed to get back. We're supposed to be a family. We have a child. We're building this life. Like, what's going on? And um, he basically told me that I was violent because the night that he left, after him telling me he couldn't be sympathetic to the way I'd been raised, I was pissed, and I was like drinking some bourbon, and I'm cussing him out, and I'm like, "How dare you?" And so he's now has this narrative that I'm a drunk, that I'm abusive, and that I was so abusive that he had to call the police on me so he could leave the house safely. And so, again, like this whole time that he had been gone, and he kept stringing me along. Maybe I'll come home, maybe I won't. Um, I'm just kind of spiraling. And I'm drinking way too much. And one day I just went in my room, and all my kids were out doing whatever they were. And I just told them, forget it. You don't have to worry about me anymore. I'm done with this life. Because, the way I was feeling was that I've loved people forever. And every time that I try to be there for somebody, they act like I'm nothing. So obviously if I'm nothing, I'm just done. I'm done. I'm gone. And so I took a bottle of pills, and I had my other bottle of bourbon, and I just start chugging. And I don't know why he did it, but he texted my son, who was 19 at the time. And my son, came in, and they broke down the door and called 911. And I went to have as my daughter says, a grippy sock vacation for a week.
I'm going to ask you an ignorant question. What, if you're able to share, because this is your own stuff, what happens during that, and what does it look like coming out of it?
During it, I just didn't see any way out. And when it didn't work, and having to go to the hospital and get my stomach pumped, I was like, that's no fun. So let me figure out what else I got to do now. Right. So I started therapy. And even though I was in therapy, I'm still wanting my husband to come home. And then part of me doesn't want him to come home because I really don't want him. Mm-hmm. But again, still being in this detoxing, I guess is the best way to say. We spent a summer apart, and he kept saying, I'll come home at some point. He had found out that he had high blood pressure and he was sick. And so he was telling me that I needed to work on myself while he worked on his health. And we were supposed to be dating each other during the summer and trying to find our way back to each other. And I just remember, like, he's acting really weird. Like, if we were really dating, there's no love bombing. He's distant. Like, I just don't understand what's going on. And so we had a family plan, and I went and I was like, let me go check and see what numbers are calling him early in the morning, late at night. And I text the number that I saw the most frequently. And I'm like, hey, you don't know me. I just want to know if you know my husband. And she texts me back and goes, hey, Indee, he told me that you guys were over. And I still have screenshots from this man just in case we ever have to go back to court today. I was like, well, let me show you how much we're not over. And she texts back and she goes, I see that somebody has been lying here. And so now, and then he called me after she had hit him up and was like, you've been lying to me. I don't ever want to see you. And he called me up and he was like, you don't know what you've done.
He's like, I'm told you don't know what you've done, while he's the one doing things during y'all's separation, but working to from what you thought, making things work. Now, a little bit of clarity. You said that you were in therapy. Was he in therapy at any point? And also, did y'all do any type of couples therapy throughout this?
We were supposed to go to couples therapy, and he stood me up. So I was during the summer, I set it up and went to her office, and I'm waiting, and he's supposed to come, and 10 minutes has gone by and 15, and I'm texting him like, hey, where are you? And he calls her and is like, I'm not gonna come.
Did he say why?
He said he knew that I was gonna lie about the relationship.
Okay, so at this point, you had set it up. Did you confirm with him that he was gonna? So he's telling you, I'll be there. You take the time to show up. Was it in person or virtual? Okay, so you take the time to show up in person, and then you find out from the therapist that he wasn't going to make it. Wow.
So at that point, time marker, how long have you two been together?
This was 8 years at this point.
Okay. So a lot has happened. What was that trauma bond point for you that you just said, Indee's done, I'm done, I'm out, I'm done?
When I found out that he was with somebody else.
Okay. So that was it. That was your
that
thing.
was it.
So that one has a line, so I was wondering, okay.
Yeah, I was like, I'm not even my parents' second child. I come second to nobody. Like, I'm done.
Like, I like that.
It's over. Like, that was the final piece of the puzzle that I needed. Like, yeah. And so when he told me that I didn't know what I had done, that, he was going to make my life hell from here on out. I had DM'd one of his family members, and I was like, hey, there's just some really weird things that are going on, and I just kind of need some clarity. Would you be willing to talk to me? And she was absolutely wonderful. And she was like, yeah, sure. And so we got on a call, and I started telling her what happened. And she was like, oh, you're the second wife to say this.
I'm sorry, what? Did
he was married before.
Did you know that?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Same story.
But the same story of him not being able to be sympathetic and him, cheating. And she was like, yeah, this is the second time we've heard this. She was like, and I can't believe, like, he finally found somebody else, especially after almost getting himself fired from a big department store that they used to work at for exposing himself. And I'm like, what? She was like, oh, yeah, he used to expose himself. And I was like, huh? And then after that, she was like, yeah, and then everything that he did to the other family members. And I was like, huh? I was like, what are you talking about? And she said, yeah, he molested quite a few of our family members.
You don't think you're going to be speechless, but then
let's stay right there. Being that you had already had children that you brought around him, when you get to finding out about that knowledge, if you're able to share, if not, I understand. What did you have to do things to find out if he had maybe made an attempt with the children that you brought into the relationship?
Well, they were old enough at the time to speak. And so when I told, them what was going on, they both reassured me that no. And I think that he knew better because even though I never have had this huge ability to, stand up for myself, you mess with something I love, and you might
I get
Bet,
it. Yep.
bet.
the bay gonna come out of me at that point, right? So yeah, he knew better. And not only that, by the time that I did meet him, my dad was clean. And so when he met my dad was like, I that's my baby. Don't hurt her. You hurt her, you'll see me. And
Okay.
so um he knew that it would only take one call for,
Yeah.
him to have to see people.
Okay. Now you've gotten through where you met this person. Things were great at the beginning. The veil was up. He's love bombing you. As time goes on, the veil starts falling apart. You start seeing things that you didn't
Kind of
necessarily
froze
see at
there.
first.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Um,
Can
I
You
you
don't
were
know.
just
repeat that? You
recapping.
froze.
Okay.
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 Yep.
Yep.
So you've gotten to where you meet this person. They're love bombing you at the beginning. Things are looking fantastic, and then slowly but surely, different veils start coming down. Things start, falling apart, and the person that you are now with wasn't that same person that you were with at the beginning. You start finding out about all the lies and other things. He eventually, you find out that because y'all are still on the same cell phone plan, that he has another side piece boo thing out there. And then
That
you
was
get
the
to
first
where,
one I found out about.
oh,
Oh.
oh, oh,
He was
let's
so he was
let,
he
let's stay here.
okay.
What else who else
Yeah.
came into the picture that you found out about, and how was that discovered?
um so I started to do some digging at this point and saw that he had got an Instagram, and some girl kept commenting under his Instagram. And so I reached out to her and I was like, hey, I'm just trying to let you know that this guy is not who he says he is. Like, he lied to me, and the other lady who I had reached out to and who was very nice, and we still talk to this day, had reached out to her, and we were like, just really want to warn you. And she decided that I she had been around for a while. I eventually found out she had been around for like 5 years at that point. And he was living with her. He moved in like a week after he left our house, and they stayed together at least in, I don't know if they're still together, but at least through the custody and divorce hearings, because she testified at court.
For him?
Hmm. She hates me.
Hmm.
She absolutely hates me.
She'll hate you until she is you. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
That's a bar. And truth. That's a bar, and it's
Yeah.
truth.
Mm-hmm.
Were there any others?
I just knew about the two.
Okay.
There might have been others because he was on my insurance, and at one point, one of the claims was for a antibiotic that
See, I was just about to ask that question because I get really what's this passionate
mhm.
about infidelity, because when I hear infidelity, the first thing that I'm thinking is the person who is being cheated on is now being exposed to all these STDs, STIs,
Me too.
and a couple of them suckers are not treatable. Like there's
Mm.
nothing that you can not reversible, right? And so as soon as you started talking about cheating, my mind instantly went like, oh my God, I pray that she, nothing came home. And that's always my concern. Like I know some people are like, well, did you put a condom on it? And I'm like, there's some STIs that are resistant to condoms. Like, let's not just like there are. So first of all, do not feel the need to answer anything if you felt that there was a question in there. But I'm just going to say that I'm sorry that you were ever put in that situation, because that is horrible.
Well,
Oh,
and just even in saying that, I don't think that my first thought would be I should go get checked out.
oh,
I
mine
mean, I
was.
don't. Well, oh, you mean for you
But,
if you're cheated on?
yeah, if I'm cheating on, I don't think my first. Because people are going to react different. I think for me, I'm going to be so angry that I'm not going to worry about the exposure that
Nah,
person would have had and what
that's
they
the
could have came
first thing
back to
that comes to
me.
my mind. Because
I
once I
would
get
need
that,
somebody to say that to me.
no. Once I hear that, my first thing is so we're immediately going to a clinic to get tested
And
for
it's smart.
everything,
No, so
and then once I get the results, then I'm a wild out on you behind. Like that's when
mm,
the Baltimore gonna come out and me real quick.
and see that is smart, and that's why I'm glad that we have these live streams because I
Mhm.
don't think that I'm not sure that a majority of people are going to think to do that early on or first, and they
Me
might
too, girl.
hear they might need to hear that that's something that you should do.
So, Indy, if I'm wrong, correct me. Is it that some people wouldn't think about that, or that a man
Man
wouldn't
wouldn't
think
think
about
to
that?
do it.
Because did you immediately think to go get tested as soon as you saw all these women? So
Yeah,
Oh
like
yeah,
that's
I
my
was on
thing.
the app
Exactly.
making an
So
appointment.
exactly, that's my thing.
it
So
could
I
be a
think
gender thing.
women, I think this is one of those rare moments where we do boil down to gender. I think women are automatically like, all right, ASAP, which clinic is open? Because we fitting to go there right now. Whereas
Hmm.
men are processing more of the anger. And again, I don't like stereotyping, but this does seem like one of those moments where
Yeah.
we women are like clinic, and then let me handle everything else.
For those of y'all that are out there listening or that might catch this on the replay, what are y'all thoughts about that? Would you immediately go get tested out the first time, or yeah, the at first notification of news that you got cheated on, or is that not the first thing that you would think about? I'm genuinely curious what other people are going to say. So for those of y'all that are watching and are listening, put it in the comment section. Now we're
Whew.
getting to where you're past and you've broken the trauma bind. You are ready to redefine your worth and move on. How difficult was that? Talk us through what that looked like for you and offer any advice to people that may be right there and they're about to take that next step that you went through at that point.
I think the first thing that I really had to do, I had to sit with myself. And I had to figure out, like, I knew, I kept telling myself that this did not feel good. And I knew it didn't feel good. And I knew that something was wrong, but I didn't push through it. So why did I not push through it? And it just all boiled down to me not believing that I had been worthy enough of being treated well because I had never been treated well. And it wasn't that I didn't love myself. It wasn't that I didn't really think highly of myself. I just didn't know that I deserved better.
Mhm.
And during this time, I had saw a meme, and it said something like a narcissist will mirror you in order to get you to fall in love with them. And I don't know if it was just me being kind of delusional or it finally clicked. And I was like, so I fell in love with myself. I was never in love with
Hmm.
him.
Mm.
Hmm.
If he was taking all of my great qualities and like putting a mirror up to me, I fell in love with me. So I need to start treating myself like I love myself. I
Hmm.
need to, show myself, like, I need to talk softly to myself. I need to take myself out on a date. I need to show me that I'm worthy. I need to stop waiting for somebody else to do it. And so the first thing I thought of was that, oh my gosh, the story is crazy and you've always wanted to write. So, screenplays, and make movies. So, maybe you should think about a documentary or something to do from this. So I went back to what made me happy. And that's writing and filmmaking and, went back to my happy place to help me make sense of everything.
So that's in line with the question that I was going to ask. I was going to ask, what does healing look like now? That's initially what I wrote down, but I'm going to modify that a little bit to say, what does loving Indee look like now? So you said, you've gone back to your happy place of writing. What, other than writing, what brings you joy? Where are you finding happiness now?
It's actually starting my production company. Like I'm actively in production for a series that I've written that I'm going to bring to YouTube. So
Okay.
doing that. It's my kids. I am in a new relationship, and as hard as it was to get into one, I had always, I told myself after this that if I was going to get in a relationship, that um, anything that at any time I felt like it wasn't serving me, that I needed to walk away. But I also had to trust myself to know that I had learned my lesson and that I was going to make better decisions. Um, so, yeah, just building my own tribe out here on the East Coast, um, letting people in. I think that was also a big reason why it was able to go on so long, is because I was so um, shut down and had such a wall up, and was scared to let people in. So um, just loving myself enough to know that if something doesn't feel right, that it's all right for me to walk away.
Okay. And my last question, again, part of it you've already answered. So, emotionally, and specifically emotionally, where are your children now? So, you have 3 children. Emotionally, where are they now?
Um, my older two, they're 25 and 22. Um, they are happy to finally see me happy.
Okay.
Um, and I did read some of the questions or comments from the Beyond the Monster podcast, and one of them that kind of really stuck with me was that I dishonored my children by doing this. And
By telling your story, I just want to make sure I'm understanding what this is.
not by
Okay.
telling my story, but by being in the situation to begin with. And
Because you're a mind reader and you knew that this was going to happen. So you
yeah,
took, okay,
yeah.
just checking. Go ahead.
But yeah, they did not know how bad it was. They
Mhm.
lived in the same house and they did not know until they watched the podcast how bad
Oh,
it
okay.
was.
Okay.
So, they're just happy that that weight isn't, because they still live with me. I
Mhm.
will never kick my kids out until they're ready to go. But they're just happy that that weight is off of our family now, like
Mhm.
that we can speak how we want to speak, and we're able to just be. The child that I have with him has not seen him in 4 years.
Mhm.
um, I have full custody, and she is thriving. She is a honor
Great.
roll student.
Awesome.
She is the socialist one out of the whole family. She's always booked and busy and gone. So um and she I did have to ask her, because she was the youngest. She was 4 when he left. um I had to see if she had ever been touched or anything like that. um like I said in the podcast, we do think that he was probably trying to groom her by getting her used to uncomfortable touches. But she says that nothing's ever happened. She's in therapy, and she's she you would never even know it.
Okay. All right. I do have one last question.
Go ahead.
If my math is correct, you are chronologically older than you look physically. So let's start there.
I
Because
like how you worded that.
I'm just gonna be honest. Like when you first started talking and you were like, I'm like doing some mental math, and I'm like, how is that even possible? She's like 32. Like, how is this possible? Apparently, I may be a decade, off of where you are. Um,
Mhm.
where do you see, 50, those 30, the increments of 10, those are the big years. So where do you see yourself by going, being, existing, loving by the time you are 50? And I'm not saying that you're close to 50. I'm just saying that's the next 10 milestone that you're hitting. Where do you see yourself? Who do you see yourself being? What does that look like?
Good question.
Well, first of all, I have no problem with saying my age. I will be 44 on April 27th.
I like her already. She said, I got this thing about ladies saying their age. I'm like, it's a number. Anyway, I'm sorry. Go ahead. Thank you.
You
Thank you,
know,
Indee.
and you're welcome. And I see myself just continuing to live life. I want to be able to still, have my kids come around and hope that they still like hanging out with me. I just want to live life and have a good time. And I pray that my production company will be off and running because I really, really want to buy a farm. I just have like little mini Highland cows and pygmy goats and stuff, and just relax. Like, I've lived a life of high stress and, a lot of dysfunction. And I just want, my next 40 years to just be peaceful and calm and, a life that I have actively chose to participate in instead of letting something, happen to me.
Okay. There's a comment over here. It says, well, I'm 55.
That's his mom.
Okay.
That is my mother. Hi, mother.
Hello.
With your 55. Mm-hmm.
It's 55 in air quotes.
55.
55.
Okay. So, Indee, first of all, thank you. Thank you for taking the time. Behind the scenes, people don't know, I reached out to Indee a few days ago. We talked a little bit to gauge her interest in coming onto our platform and doing this yesterday. And then we scheduled to make it happen today. So I really want to thank you for being honest and open about a very difficult situation and how you were able to overcome it. If you have the ability to tell us now, talk about your production company, and if you have any milestones, like dates on when something is going to be released, put that in there. If not, I like to stay in touch so that I can find out when it is being released and we can support that in any type of way that we can. So what's the name of it? And share anything that
so
you got for us.
We can even put it up here as you're typing.
So right now, we have a production company. It's called Go 9 Films. We are currently in production and will, within a couple of weeks, have our first episode of our YouTube show dropping. So because of my childhood and also this marriage, I developed complex post-traumatic stress disorder. And it's just a look inside of a woman who is trying to navigate the world through that lens, and how these, it's not really voices per se, but like these negative thoughts and these doubts and the symptoms that you gain from that, just always being hypervigilant, always having, anxiety and talking down to yourself. It's showing how, she navigates the world through that. And again, life kind of imitated art. I took, from my own experience. It's a fictionalized account of what happened. So, yeah, you get to just see how I kind of got so low within my marriage that, one could decide to like really just take themselves out, and how they rebuild from that.
Is the YouTube channel also called Go 9 Films?
Mm-hmm.
And is the channel live now that I could go to it and subscribe to it?
I Would have to talk to my partner, but I believe that it is. It will definitely be within the next couple of weeks. So everything is going to be uploaded soon, and you'll get to see the first episode from the point of where, the rupture happens and she, starts to spiral. So,
Okay. All right. Hey, let me take this opportunity to do this. I have improv training, no formal acting skills or anything.
Here we go.
But if you ever need extra, somebody in the background or something, and y'all are doing some production, let me know how one can get signed up.
of course.
You know, maybe you know what I'm
I
saying?
can't.
I am dead serious. I've done stand up. I'm gonna speak about me real quick.
Oh my gosh.
I've done stand up comedy, and I've got a 5 minute set that's out there on the YouTubes and whatnot. COVID happened,
Okay.
and then I didn't continue that pursuit in the arts. But maybe comedy wasn't my thing, but acting just might be. I don't know. Hey,
She's
you
over you.
you have to go out there and shoot your shot from
Every
time to
shot that
time.
you miss every shot that you don't take, right?
Yeah.
That's what they said, right?
But that is
Goodness
Gold
gracious.
9 Films. After this live stream, I'm going to ensure that it is in the description and the comment section as well. People that catch this, go out and support her,
Yes.
support
Yes,
her
yes, yes.
story, support her production company and
Mhm.
projects that
Yes,
she has going forward. My mom said that you are one really strong woman.
oh, thank you.
And I echo those words as well. I mean, it's just sometimes, and I don't want to speak for you. I will say that for me as a Black woman, sometimes it's difficult to always hear, you're such a strong woman, because if I'm strong, that means I had to go through hell to be strong. And that is a painful thing to think about. But just hearing your story, there's nothing but strength. There's nothing but resilience. There is nothing but a determination to live and to be better than where you currently are, and that is so inspiring. And it is my prayer that your testimony continues to bless and help other people, and that every single door that God opens for you, that you boldly step through it so that someone's life can be saved, because that's what I believe. That's where you are now. I truly, truly believe that you are where you are now so that someone's life can be saved. So thank you so much.
Thank you. Definitely, I think one of the biggest things that made me want to come out is because we don't see a lot of Black women come out and tell our stories like this, because people always think that we are strong and that we're so, incapable of landing ourselves into something like this. And I'm pretty sure that it happens more often than we would like to admit. And if one person can, learn, or if they're like in a narcissistic relationship and they're suppressing themselves, hopefully it'll give them the strength to get out, because there is no hope for that type of relationship. It will never be good, and it'll always be what it is, if not worse. So yeah, I just hope that it does help somebody.
Awesome. All right. Well, Indee, thank you for
Thank you so
joining.
much.
If you can hang back for about maybe 2 to 3 minutes, we're
Sure.
going to close out the show here, and then go from there. So, to the world, to everybody, Miss Indee, thank you for
Thank
coming
you.
on and sharing your story.
Thank
Hang
you.
tight.
Hang tight.
Okay.
All right. Wow.
I know.
Wow.
So amazing.
Some of that I knew from watching the
Yeah.
Beyond the Monsters, which we're also going to put the link to that episode down in the comment section as well. But hearing it a second time, and then having Indee add the additional things that she added,
Yeah.
I thought was very eye opening.
Mm-hmm.
And this was the first type of content that we've had that was like this.
Yeah.
And when I asked Indee to come on, I wanted her to, paint that narrative of what it looks like, because a little bit what she kind of said right there, sometimes people don't have the opportunity to share it because they're no longer here.
Yeah.
So she used her voice. She used her voice. She shared her story. And hopefully somebody that hears it will have the ability to redefine their worth and break that trauma bond themselves, and live a thriving, healthy life.
Yes, that's definitely the prayer. That's the goal.
All right. So I don't even know how to end. This
was a special edition of the King and Me Show. He's King. It's me, Michelle. We hope that you all have a wonderful week. We will see you at our normal time on Monday, which will be the first Monday in March. So March the 2nd at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Have a wonderful week, and we're out.
Peace. Bye, y'all.
Bye.